I just have to let our viewers, Tim, know how I met you and why I'm speaking with you today. And I'm so honored, honestly. I get up at 2:45 to 3 in the morning. So when I'm asked to do an evening event like 5 until 7, far away from my house, it's not the best thing in the world. I have to pump myself up and get ready to do it. So we're invited out to a Payway grand opening out in Katy, and I see the happiest man sitting at a table waiting for his wife, and it's you, Tim. And I was like, "Who are you, and why are you here?" So let's start out with that story. Tell everyone what you said to me when I noticed your AT&T T-shirt and your love for Payway.
Well, my love for Payway started a long time ago when they opened up on Mason Road. And I loved it was a different kind of Oriental Chinese type food. And believe me, it was right around the corner when I used to live in Memorial Parkway. I've since moved to the west about 5 miles. And I was so disappointed when they closed. And then they closed the one on 1093. And I was so excited a few months ago when they decided to open up a new location not too far away, because now I live in Tamaron Wellspring, a 55 plus community. And I was just so excited. I love grand openings. Let me tell you, I was a telecommunication engineer 43 years with AT&T. I've been all over the city doing different things, and that was my last job. But let me tell you, I've been retired almost 10 years. I love going to grand openings of places that I know the food is going to be good. I'm very selective about where I go.
Uh-huh.
But you'll notice I have been the first customer at a lot of places like Gringo's, In-N-Out Burger, Chicken Salad Chick. I could go on and on.
I know all those places.
Well, I get to meet the owner. I get to meet the general manager. I get to meet wonderful corporate type people. And I get to meet people like you, Dana, that of all places, I love to listen to your radio station. I thought the way you awarded the prizes was just awesome. Everybody that came had a great time. I hardly wanted to leave after it was over.
We were
But
like a family.
I mean, I was just so excited. I won a cookbook, which I'm a foodie. I'm a Katie Fort Bend foodie. And I'm on a seafood diet. So
I
every
know
food
about
I
that
see,
diet.
I'm on that diet. And I really do like seafood. I've been a fisherman all of my life. I've been a surfer all of my life. I really have enjoyed retirement. AT&T was a tough job in the end, but I tried to make the best of it, and I did. And luckily, I eventually got to retire at 60 years old. So I still have a good part of my life left to enjoy life. I have a Pedigo electric bike. I like riding bikes around our lake, and I love fishing. I love surfing. And those are some of the loves. And you probably may or may not know, for the last 40 years, we've been cruisers. We love to go on cruises out of Galveston,
Wow.
out of Alaska, out of Hawaii. You know, a lot of people say, oh, I love the mountains. Well, guess what? I love the Gulf Coast. I have a lot of people from Utah that come here and cruise with us.
Mhm.
We love the Caribbean. You know, we don't have the most beautiful water here. You have to go down to South Padre Island, which was my first road trip at 16.
Number one spot for vacations.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I love it. It was my first road trip in my 57 Chevy with a couple of my buddies. And, you know, we camped out at Tent City and South Padre. I call it the Texas Riviera. If people don't go there, they haven't experienced the Texas Gulf Coast. So that's where we're at. And, you know, I've got some favorites at Payway. I think they did a great job on the grand opening. I'm pretty sure
I do.
hiring you to do it
I
was
loved it.
awesome.
I brought my husband home a feast that night, and
Oh,
he
good.
just loved it. It was just such a great experience. Through that experience, I learned about the Big Kahuna. That would be you. I met your beautiful wife, Karen, who has been with Katy ISD for how many years?
28 years. And she's
28
now
years.
retired. She,
Unbelievable.
she went back to work. She did work for the airlines, and that way we traveled to California and Hawaii a lot. But then we had 3 kids, and you can, I don't know, maybe you can not see my shirt. My daughter had made for me, my oldest
Oh my
daughter.
gosh, I
They
love
gave me
it.
that for last Father's Day. And these are my kids. My oldest is a blonde. My son is a blonde. And my wife said, look, I want to have a kid that eventually looks like me that's a brunette. And so we had a third child,
No, you
Holly,
did.
which
Yep.
who is, an influencer on Instagram. And
And
so,
let me just stop you there because
okay,
I went to Holly's website or her Instagram, and Holly, like me, 4 boys, 1 daughter, but she is exceptional. And the timing that I have you on, Tim, is very important because we're going to be focused on Father's Day like forever. And you
okay.
are the dad who created such a confident young lady. I haven't met your other kids, but just watching Holly renovate this gorgeous Nashville home with her husband and those beautiful kids. I mean, she's got over 1 million followers. She's phenomenal.
She does. Yeah, 1.3 million followers. It took about 4 years to build. She started in Pflugerville, and eventually they remodeled 2 different homes, and eventually they said, look, I want to move someplace with 4 seasons. So they moved to Nashville, and now they live in a neighborhood with a lot of the country music stars, and they're good friends with Chip and Joanna. And Chip and Joanna went a different route. Holly and Brad could have gone that route, but she said it's pretty tough on your family to take that route and to be on TV and to be on radio a lot. But they have a lot of great corporate sponsors, like Home Depot and Target and
Target, yeah.
Costco.
Cute outfits
And
that she wears too.
yes, and she loves fashion. And she's on, I do a chip review because of her every week, once a week. I do a chip review. I try different chips. I've been on it for a couple of years. She put me up to it. She's on it every day from Monday through Friday. But let me tell you this, family is first. When her kids are at home, she's not on Instagram. Everybody knows that. During the summer, she'll take a 2 or 3 month break.
Mm-hmm.
And she does it, they're all in school now, but she does have her priorities. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think she said in her interview, one of the interviews, we watch her every day. Family is the most important thing. Being a mom is the most important thing in her life. And so she has that priority set. And so everything is built around their family. And so I appreciate that. And, unfortunately, she moved 13 hours away,
I
which broke her
know.
heart. She was in Pflugerville and Round Rock for about 12 years, but they needed to move and they really wanted to have 4 seasons. And they have moved up in the size of home that they wanted, and they put in a spool. I don't know if you ever heard of a
It's
spool.
beautiful. I saw
And
that before and after backyard. What's the website? It's Arfo Farmhouse.
correct, Our Faux Farmhouse, OURFAUX Farmhouse, all one word. And she has about 70% women followers because she does do a lot of fashion, and she is a promoter of different products. But however, Brad is called Brad the Builder. He comes from a construction background, and they both used to have, well, actually she's a school teacher. She got her degree in elementary education. She's never used it because this other career came along.
She's so
And
creative.
Brad used to also have many careers, and now they're kind of like entrepreneurs. They actually have a place called Urban Sips and Sweets in Franklin, a brick and mortar. They started out with a trailer in Pflugerville, serving Hawaiian saved ice and custom soft drinks. And so, and that's where they met Chip and Joanna. They've had their food truck there in Magnolia, in Waco, and they just love what they're doing. And you've seen, and you'll see if you watch her, you'll see some of the things that they've done and different projects. I think the latest thing was their only daughter. They completely
Oh,
customized her room.
beautiful. Her room, phenomenal. The bunk beds for the boys,
Yes,
unbelievable. Oh my
yes.
gosh. But the thing that I loved so much when she was talking about she and her husband, as my husband and I are celebrating, I think our 37th anniversary, she said that it wasn't always easy, but when we learned to serve each other, that's when things started getting better. I was just like, oh my God, I love this so much. It's, you really need to, all our viewers need to check her out because she is amazing. And I have to, I know mom is amazing, but I have to give you credit, Tim.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, with Father's Day approaching, what is it? You've got a lot of passion for a lot of things. As a dad to your three kids, what do you think was the most important gift you gave them?
My time. Uh, Definitely my time. Even though I had a pretty demanding job at AT&T, I took the time to be with them. Both of my girls were in Girl Scouts until they became cheerleaders. My son was in Boy Scouts. He got his Eagle Scout and three palms. I went on every camp out. I've been a scout leader for over 40 years. It has taught me a lot. And you know, it's a shame because there's a short window that we have as parents to do things with your kids as they're growing up. And let's face it, when they're 18, they're pretty well gone. I mean, they go off to college. My son served a mission with the LDS Church for 2 years. Our daughters went off to college. But, you know, we have a small, and I saw so many dads that put their career in front of raising their kids.
Yes.
I was the dad for a lot of kids. I've taught hundreds of kids how to surf. So much so that the scouts about 25 years ago said, you know what? We need to name you the Big Kahuna. Just like in Hawaii, a teacher of surfing. And I said, you know, okay, that sounds good to me. I'm not naming myself that. The scouts wanted me to become the Big Kahuna. So I went with that. And I still love to surf. I love places like Hawaii, South Padre, California. When my wife was with the airlines, we'd go to California every month, and I surfed all the great places. Um, Surfing is a sport that's still cool with kids, and that's what I love. You know, a lot of things, aren't as cool, but, you know, when I talk to people about being a longtime surf instructor, they said, oh, that's so cool.
So
When can you
cool.
teach me?
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I can say about teaching, I learned at 8 years old when my dad was fishing in Galveston. I taught myself. I love the sport. The main thing is if people want to learn how to surf, they need to start out with a longboard. I know it's not cool to have a longboard, but it's very important to learn how to surf. And then you can get shorter boards, but we don't have waves unless we have a hurricane, which I've surfed a lot of hurricanes. A longboard is better for Galveston. Now, South Padre, California, Hawaii, yeah, short boards. And, you know, now when you go to the North Shore, you have a long, thinner board that's not as wide.
Right.
But that's important about learning. But that's the main thing. You know, I wish, and I told the parents, a lot of times on weekends we'd go surfing and they were always too busy working. And like I said, I literally raised some of these kids. I was their dad.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And then, like, also, you know, when my girls were in Girl Scouts, I was the dad that went on all the campouts. They had to have one dad. Of course, the moms were the leaders, and I was the chaperone dad. So, you know, to me, being a parent, and let me tell you this, it started a long time ago. You know, I used to be an altar boy in the Catholic Church, so much so that they asked me to go to St. Thomas Seminary because I won the Sarah Award. They actually wanted me to be a priest. And when I found out I couldn't have a family, I said, it's not for me. I've always
Wow.
dreamed about having kids and having
Yep.
a family. And that's the most important thing in our lives is to
You know,
have
I
a
said to my
family.
producer, I said, Tim is a guy, because we talked about you on the morning show. I said, Tim is a guy who you want to be like. You do getting older so well. You don't get depressed. You seem like you have even more joy as you get older. And that's why I wanted to share you with our viewers. And if you could say, Tim, one thing to new dads or for moms who might be able to share this with their husband about their kids, what would you say to new dads?
3 words. It's better outdoors. You got to get these kids outdoors, get them out camping. Believe me, I have spent so many nights camping with my family. It's so important to get them outdoors. And let me tell you, I do a lot of fishing, but I enjoy nature. I don't have to catch fish. I teach kids to fish more than I fish myself. I enjoy seeing them catch fish. But really, I have to point out nature is all around us. You know, we have ducks going by, we have turtles going by, we have all different kinds. And, you know, I just think it's important to get them away. You know, as much as I like social media, I think there's a time and place for it.
Absolutely.
And you know, we do have to take, and let me tell you, when we go on cruises, we unplug for a week. And normally we go
Good.
on week-long cruises, a whole week. And it's actually very nice. I mean, I love social media, but there, like I said, there's a place for it. And that
All
would
right.
be the big thing. Take time. And let me tell you this, when I was growing up, my dad, he worked 2 jobs to support our family. We never saw him during the week. But on Saturday, we went fishing. On Sunday, we went water skiing after Mass. And that's what held our family together.
Yeah.
Didn't have a lot of money, but you didn't have to have a lot of money. And I learned that, you know, from my parents of how they raised us. And I've got an older sister, 5 years older, and a younger brother, 5 years younger. And you know, that's how they had us, and they taught me how to do that. But that'd be the big thing. It's better
I
outdoors. That is a
love that.
saying by the Texas Parks and Wildlife.
I love it. Now, what we're going to do is wish you a very happy Father's Day. And then you and me, and we can bring our family, we're going to go meet at Payway, the new one out on South Fry Road for another dinner together. And you're just a
Wonderful.
delight. I'm so glad I got to share you with my viewers.
Well, wonderful. That would be an awesome idea.
Let's do it.
Me and my
Let's do
wife
it.
would love it. I might even bring, now, let me tell you, I do have a son and a daughter-in-law and 2 grandkids that live here in the Fulshear area in Cross
Right.
Creek Ranch. Maybe I could bring them too. And you could
That'd
meet
be,
my son,
would love it.
who's very, very smart. He's an executive at Wells Fargo. And by the way, also, my daughter-in-law has a business. Now, she is a registered nurse that formed a company called Colors That Pop Balloons. And for the last 2 years, while she's staying home with her kids before she goes back to nursing, she makes wonderful balloon creations. And it's called Colors That Pop Balloons, Lucia Gebauer. And it's just a wonderful creativity. Her loves to be an artist, and she does it for a lot of the schools, a lot of people, so much so she had to get a box truck because she started doing it for big companies. And I'd love for you to meet them too.
Tim, I will write her name down, and I'm sure she's got an Instagram too, doesn't she?
She does. She's on Instagram all the time. Colors That Pop Balloons. In fact, I have one of her cards right here. This is it right here. And
Full.
she's a real joy. And she'll be doing that at least for the next year, but she's kind of feeling like she loves to work with babies. So she's thinking that's where she's going to be going back to a hospital to work. Now that her son is getting older, she feels like, okay, it's time to get back out. But I got to tell you, and maybe I didn't get around to telling you, my wife quit working and stayed at home with our kids while they were growing up. And I think it's so important that if you can do that. And then when our youngest Holly started going to elementary school, she got a job at Katy ISD. That started her 28 years.
Amazing.
And she pretty well moved. Every time Holly moved until Holly went to college, she moved with her to elementary, to junior high, and then to high school.
Incredible.
And so, you know, and one thing too, I think that helped our kids, you know, our girls were cheerleaders, our son played football. In high school, I think it's important for our kids to be a part of something, band, sports, cheerleading, drill team, whatever it is, don't let them have very much idle time, because it seems like that's where we get in trouble. And so that's what
So
we
true.
promote. We say, get involved. We don't care what it is. Do something at your high school, especially. And I think it's really helped our kids get along. And then also one last thing I got to say, my daughter, my oldest daughter, Wendy, has the Goat Funny Farm. She did the 600-mile journey across Spain, and then in Abilene, she has formed this Goat Funny Farm where she'll take families on walks with goats, and it's just like they call it the Camino. It's a 600-mile. She did it in 6 weeks, 600-mile journey across Spain. And they even have a movie about it called The Way, which is very good. So
I'm going to have to check out The Way. I've heard about that,
The
Tim.
Way,
That is
wonder, it's very much, and she went through that by herself. I didn't know she would ever do that, but that was, your kids surprise you.
Yeah.
And she really surprised us when she did that. And then also, she likes building tiny homes of all things. So she's in the middle of building her second tiny home.
You need to write a book, and I want each chapter on each one of your kids and all the things that they've accomplished. It's just a joy to talk with you and share your life experiences with us.
Well, same here. I'm so happy I met you. I felt like I didn't really know where you were from. I felt like you were like from Payway at first. And then I found out you were from Sunny, my favorite radio station. I said, oh my gosh, it doesn't get any better than this. And like I said, you did such a wonderful job making feel everybody comfortable.
It was so fun.
Opening.
So fun. Now I have to ask you before I let you go, your favorite chips.
It's got to be Zapp's Sweet Creole Onion. They're in the yellow package. After 2 years, it's my only number 10. I love it dipped into Kroger sour cream with chives. And you can normally only find it now at the Shell gas stations. You can't already find it. Okay. There's a lot of Zaps, but you won't find the Sweet Creole Onion, and they're a kettle chip, and they're still my favorite.
Excellent. Tim, you are just a wealth of knowledge, a happy man, and I want to say thank you for joining me, and the best happy Father's Day. And what do the kids call Grandpa?
Well, they call me Papa. But I'll tell you what. A good friend of mine, Colin Stewart, has a better name for a granddad. Do you know what they call him?
No.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. That's perfect. We call my mom Great Gigi. So you're a Big Daddy.
There you go. And by the way, if anybody ever wants to listen, I do a weekly broadcast on Tim's Underbar Chipstagram on Instagram. And I have about 48,000 followers all over the country. We'll
make sure that we get all that information up. Okay, Tim?
That'd be great.
Well, very bless cool. You. Thank you. Well, and I will see you at Payway soon. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
You're so
on this
good.
Podcast. All
Take
right.
care, love.
All right. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.